Awesome. Well, I appreciate the community members for being here today. I appreciate Nichole, who is our guest speaker today. Nichole Tucker is a fantastic person, and she's coming from a background where she's going to share why empathy and equality help create a world of possibility, right? And it's possibility in education, but in small business. We're all living in this blended world right now, and we're all trying so hard to adapt. And it's hard for everybody, and the struggles kind of blend and move over. So I'm excited about the conversation today. I'm excited about her voice and her background and learning about her story. Before we get started, I want to have the people that are here hosting this call with us introduce themselves. So I'm going to introduce myself first. My name is Adam Griggs. I am the moderator today. I am the co-founder of a software platform called CLARAfi, and I am happy to have you guys here today. Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here as well. I'm Rachel McCool from GoDaddy. I manage community experiences on LinkedIn, and working closely with Adam is part of this, also our community for GoDaddy. And just thrilled to have you here. And we've met already, Nichole, and I can't wait to hear about what you do.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Graziano. I'm also on the GoDaddy team. I'm an engagement manager. I manage a lot of our social media pages for the brand side. So everything from talking to customers to building response scenarios to how we engage with customers, everything. And it goes hand in hand with community. And I echo what these two have said. These just keep getting better and better. So I'm so excited to have you here. I can't wait to expand this. And yeah, I can't wait to hear you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here. Nichole, we are so excited to hear your background and your story. It's never been a more appropriate time. We were shoved into this world last year really quickly and having to adapt and evolve. And now we're coming out of it. And there's a lot of things that are kind of lingering and left unsaid. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who Nichole Tucker is, what your mission is with Tucker Academy, and backstory that led you here.
Okay, thanks. I would love to. So my background is diverse, both professionally and personally, which has shaped me to become who I am and create the mission that I'm on, which I will share a little bit about. So professionally, I've been in the education field, special education field specifically, for about 20 years now. I've worked primarily with children who have an autism diagnosis, an ADHD diagnosis, executive functioning difficulties, and Down syndrome. Although I serve all students, I have primarily specialized in serving the neurodiverse community, students who have mental health struggles as well, and I really, really love what I do. On a personal level, I've had a pretty tough background in some ways. Which is why also I want to really expand my reach about the message of how important empathy and equality are, especially in the education system, where we're trying to build up our future leaders who will be, our business owners. And it's also really important for our current business owners to recognize that we all have a history and we don't know what anybody's going through. And it can't always be about the bottom line of money or what we think on a shell is success, because some of us are working really, really hard. And we need to take time to appreciate those small wins in ourselves and in others.
I love it. And I love the way that you ended with the time to appreciate in ourselves and others, especially in the world we're coming into, right? We have had to challenge ourselves to rise above while balancing family and some of us homeschooling and our business. And before we had this 9 to 5, punch the clock, nothing else matters, drop it at the door mentality. And it's crazy how wrong that was, how much we've missed not only an opportunity to really add a human touch to our businesses as being entrepreneurs, but to engage our employees and our key personnel as more than what they are. If you can connect with somebody on a level that's empathetic and you can find what's going on and help them through it and then champion them or celebrate the success, that's powerful. That's very powerful. So I'd love to hear more about how you are having those conversations with parents and with business owners. Tell us a little bit about that, Nichole.
I would love to. I will start by giving you an example from the education perspective. Okay, so I used to work at a school, an unnamed school, where I founded a learning support program. Loved it. The reason that I founded it is because we offered a very unique curriculum. And I thought, why are our children who have special education needs or learning differences, why are they not able to access this great curriculum? Well, it was simply a matter of, it was a private school, a smaller school, and there were no resources for it. There was no federal government to get involved and mandate it. There were no IEPs required. And so I thought, I can't help everybody, but I can start by helping one person. So I went out on a limb and I tried my best. Didn't have a real big plan at the time. But like I said, I had a lot of history, a lot of background professionally. I had a lot of education, and this has become my specialty. And I'm passionate about it, again, because of some of the things I've went through in my own youth, which I'll share. But so I found this program, and it all started because I'm walking through the library one day to go teach a class. And I see a student that I didn't even know. He was in early elementary school. Mind you, I'm teaching high school. And he's on the ground. And he's kind of just like got his ears covered, and he's just trying to get out of the world. And I see teachers walk past him, and I see students stand there. Now, they didn't stand in judgment. I think they stood not knowing what to do. And I think the teachers did as well. And that really hurt, because I'm like, listen, just because you don't have that same level of training, perhaps, right? Maybe to know how to jump in and fix things and help that student, why are we not coming together to care a little more? Why are we not thinking what it might be like? Why is that student going through that situation? The empathetic piece. Why are we not treating that student equally, just like we would if we saw another student sitting in the library crying, right? A teacher is more likely to go up to them and offer a tissue, or is something wrong? Can I help you? Do you need to talk? Go to the nurse. And no one was doing this, not even the administrators. So here I come, I'm like a brand new teacher at this school, heading to my high school class, and I laid right down on the ground with them. And I just quietly let him know what my name was. And I said, is it okay with you if I just hang out for a little bit? You don't have to answer me, but if you don't want me to be here, try to give me a sign and let me know. Well, he did give me a sign, not to say I don't want you here, but he gave me a sign of, like, he shook his head. He's like, he wanted somebody to be there. He didn't need somebody to come in and understand what was wrong. Did not need somebody to come in and make it all better. Sometimes we just need somebody to be there and to care. So I did have the professional knowledge, fortunately, to have been through that experience and kind of helped him de-escalate, because I recognized it as it was complete sensory overload. We were going into a meltdown. And who wants to be that kid? He's an amazing, smart student. Don't you think it could be a little embarrassing for him to be in that situation of becoming so overstimulated he falls to the ground and has his peers and his teachers and his safe people just walk past him? That doesn't help us feel loved. And I've been there, and I will never be that person to fall into the bystander effect, which is huge. Been lots of studies on the more people that are around, the less people that are likely to get involved, because we always think somebody else will do it. and we shouldn't. We should just jump in and be that person. So needless to say, that student is now in high school himself. He was in 3rd grade at the time. And he was the one that really inspired me to, I'm going to really make this program all I can. I started in a closet. I'm not kidding. It was a closet. I had to go, and I was like, approaching administration. I'm like, I want to do this. I believe in this. Okay, you don't have a budget for it. Let me just do it. Let me just volunteer. I don't know. And I was so thankful for the opportunity they gave me and the support in letting me try. Well, what happened was it became a really successful program. And I did a lot of research, and I got some grant funding and built the program. We were able to get more of those resources. So students like that, who had 3 siblings also in a private school, that whole family was able to stay at the school and feel welcomed and loved, instead of just nobody understands. Nobody, was treating them as an equal, not for lack of compassion, but just for lack of understanding. Because I think we need to always remember empathy is a conscious choice. It is a skill. It can be learned. It can be developed. And empathy training is fabulous. I love it. I love some of the exercises I get to do with people where, I can just go in, and I mean, I could talk about this forever, so I won't, but, go in and help people understand how human they are, because it's very humbling. And when we think about that and we increase our social emotional intelligence, we immediately treat each other differently, and we come together as a team. So my professional example of, what's leading me here, what led me towards building that program, going from nothing, building something great, but then being stifled because it wasn't my school. It was only my program and my vision and my dream. And it wasn't theirs. And as we grew, we actually grew apart, because I wasn't comfortable charging outlandish fees for something that everyone should be able to have. There's the equality, right? And think about the empathy. What if you're that parent, right? I mean, some of us, whether you try so hard to conceive or you adopt or, you get blessed with a surprise. I have 4 kids. I have some surprises, right? And I love them all. But when you're that parent, all you want is the best for your child. And you don't want to feel like somebody else doesn't want that as well. So I am now on my own. I started Tucker Academy in the middle of a pandemic. No savings, no plan, no anything but the same heart and drive that I had that one day when I passed a student, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fine. I'll hop on the floor with you. I don't care that I'm in a dress and heels. It doesn't matter, right? Because he was a human and I was a human. And I've been in school before, and I didn't have that particular situation, but I have felt alone. And it stinks. I felt alone as a child. I felt alone as an adult. And it's not something that any of us really enjoy. We're not built for that. So that's the professional piece of me that led me here. When I left that particular school, which was kind of a mutual, this is just not going the right way. We didn't have the same vision. I went to another school that focused on social emotional skills. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be the one. I'm going to retire from here. But I, in complete transparency, have my own mental illness, my own mental health struggles, and they run deep. I have major depressive disorder. I have generalized anxiety with panic attacks. and they can come out of nowhere. And I can be in the middle of, I mean, things could be great, right? And out of nowhere, my thoughts, they would just consume me. And I had a boss at that place that was prioritizing social emotional wellness and love for all for students. I had a boss who didn't see that in me. And just because I'm the teacher and I'm the grown up doesn't mean that I don't deserve that same equal treatment. Sometimes we get to this higher place in leadership and we forget where we came from or who we really are inside. That kind of sums up, leaving out a lot, but that kind of sums up some of my professional journey as to why I wanted to start Tucker Academy, where we specialize in tutoring and advocacy for neurodiverse students, mentoring for neurodiverse students. Typically, that means a lot of the students who have some of the emotional or behavioral difficulties in school. Academically, they're fine, but teachers are not looking at that. Teachers are looking at the grades. Administrators are looking at the grades and saying, what are these teachers doing wrong? This is not the way that it should be. We should be all coming together to raise our children, to have a better understanding that we need to notice intuitively, consciously make the choice to go sit with the kid at lunch who has no one, or to go up to the person at recess who's walking around kicking mulch and has nothing to do, nobody to play with. Because I've been that person as a child, as an adult. And it's just so hard. And I wish if I could just reach the world and help share some of this empathy training, some of my story, I feel I could bring out in them their own story, and we can start to become more connected, more humanized, and realize we need to do better and we can do better. So I have so much, you know this already because we've talked before. I have so much I could say on this, but that's what led me to start Tucker Academy. And I love it. I love what I do. I'm still very small in my startup phase. I have been doing a lot of public speaking lately with students simply to share this message. And I've reached over 2,000 students in the last 6 months alone. Been blessed to go international with it. It's all volunteer work. It's through this amazing platform called Nepris. And it's great because that's what we need to do. We need to just try, right? Because if you can't reach them all and you can just reach one, maybe they'll reach more, and so forth and so forth. And so we get better. And here I am, Tucker Academy, forging the way with my very unique approach that has been resisted in the past by coworkers and administrators, but has always made a world of difference for my students and parents. And that's why I teach.
I love it. I love your story. I love how raw and real that was. And I like how you gave us tangible examples. And I want to kind of touch on something you said. You said empathy is a conscious act. You have to actually make the intentional act to see from their perspective and to feel what they're going through and look at them, you know, as you would of somebody else in a similar situation. And I feel like that's overflowed into the world that we're in right now with everything going on, right? So many of us are already overwhelmed and having to balance so much between work and school and children and business and clients and complaints and successes. And it can be very, very challenging. And I love that you shared your background into having a conversation first. You're talking to them like they're a person. And let's just get rid of the stigma, right? Everybody has challenges. We do. We're human. That's what makes us human. That's what makes it beautiful. And that's perfectly acceptable. So we have to learn to have a conversation where we don't have an ulterior motive outside of that. And I feel like that's what you're challenging people to do, and you're allowing them to see. And even though you're working with kids and you're working with kids that are specifically in need for your services, I feel like when I talk to you, when parents talk to you, when people that are listening to your story and listening to what you're doing, they're going to grow, they're going to be more aware, and the awareness is really what's going to impact and affect the world of small business, the world of bringing up children, teaching the next generation on how to be real humans, especially as we move into a world where we're on screen like this, or we're utilizing automation, or we're just overwhelming ourselves with inbox priorities. And I love that. I love the fact that you just disarmed everybody by sharing your story, your background, and challenging them to be more empathetic. Is there anything that you kind of run through with your clients that's like a question like set that you ask, or is there a specific training that you like to start with to help people feel, energized on the journey to learning empathy and educating themselves?
Actually, my favorite exercise that I have done with professionals, because I've done some professional development workshops, it's something I'd love to do more of, because I do think adults need the same story from a very raw perspective, which sometimes it just takes somebody who deals with kids a lot to be able to offer that. But 1 in 5 people, the latest statistic anyway, is that 1 in 5 struggle with mental illness, and they don't typically receive the diagnosis until mid to late teens. So that means mental health, something we all have, just like physical health. We're going through these incredibly important and like formative years, not understanding. Well, first of all, why are people treating me this way? Why do I even feel this way? So I do this exercise where, and the more people I have, the more impactful it is. The last one I did had maybe 200, which was fine. It was a good enough size. I put a little sticky note, green one, always green, because that represents mental health awareness. Put a little sticky note under their chair, under every 5th chair. I get to talking. I do my, sometimes I'll do like a Kahoot or something fun, because students and adults love that stuff. And, you ever struggle with grief? You ever lose anyone in your life? Know somebody who has been addicted to something? Have you ever just not wanted to get out of bed? And I start with some of those things that are real. Some of the things that a lot of times back in the day, we would think of a mental illness in such a stereotypical way, or we would think of seeking therapy as lying on someone's like couch in their office and going through talk therapy. And that's not what it is either. So I'll ask questions like, did you know that you can feel better through music therapy, art therapy? Do you know what those things are? Anyway, all that to say, so we get to talking, I get their attention, and then I ask everybody to take a moment and please look under their chair. And if they have a sticky note, I want them to stand up. And all of a sudden, you look around a room where people came in, some of them were like, oh, what's she gonna say today? Right? Or another professional development, right? You never know. Sometimes people come in and they have that hustle bustle. Everything is on their plate. They forget the human aspect of simply being and living. And they come in, they sit down. We slowly start to get to talking so that I have their attention. And then how humbling is it for every single one of them to look around the room and see so many other people, statistically, right, are struggling on a level that's so relatable, but that none of us in that room are likely to talk about. That's very powerful because it's visual and it hits the emotions. It's just a relatable thing. And so when we talk about empathy being a conscious, teachable skill, it's those types of exercises, that type of training, that if we can bring that into more businesses, you know what? When you make your customer feel like the only customer, like I make my students feel like my only student, when you take the time to respond to a customer's email and you spell their name correctly, right? That's a big thing. Okay. My name is spelled Nichole. I can't tell you the number of times people write me back with the traditional spelling. Okay. And I don't take offense. It is what it is. The traditional spelling of Nichole is Nichole. But especially if you're going back with someone back and forth and they're paying you and they can't take note of your signature line, maybe of your credit card, right? Where your name is spelled a certain way. If they can't take note of that, do you think that they feel special or unique? They're just lost in a sea of a whole bunch of other customers. And that's where businesses need to remember, no, it's not your bottom line. You're going to thrive best off of those referrals. Make everybody feel like somebody. Don't just worry about, you know what, it's fine. It's just one fish in a sea. There'll be more. I can market, I can this and I can that, and I can get more. Because word of mouth is always going to trump that. And all it takes is a couple dissatisfied customers to share their story, just like it takes a couple satisfied customers. And that's how you can start to make a difference. You do the same thing with your employees. The boss I shared with you about, I had looked up to her so much in the beginning. And then I just felt so alone. I felt like a disappointment. But I realized this isn't the place for me. So that was fine. But it was kind of just like, whoa, it was only a month ago you were telling me I was one of your best teachers. That was incredibly superficial because now you're getting to know me and you're not willing to work with me and help me. I feel that when you know your weakness, it's actually a strength. So where's that same optimism of when you hire your employees? When you hire them because you believe in them. And if you find out that they're human, just like you are, it doesn't mean that you give up and throw in the towel right away. Don't be discouraging, be encouraging, right? And make the conscious choice to be kind.
Now, your story is just so cool. I mean, you went into an environment where you were trying to find your passion in a world where it didn't exist, and it's kind of like putting the pieces into the cube or the circle or the triangle. Where does it fit? And sometimes it might fit, but it doesn't fit right. And you evolved from there and found another school, and then challenged yourself as things really grew. That you had a mission that was bigger than being an employee. You had a mission that was entrepreneurship. You wanted to create a brand that was specific to what your dream and mission is, which is helping reach people understand themselves, educate themselves, and form a more empathetic society. And that's powerful. And it allowed you to throw the strings off and do whatever you needed to do. Right. So I think that you sharing that story already illustrates, when it's okay to allow yourself to continue on the journey. Maybe it's not here as an employee. That's okay. Continue. And we can say that as managers. We can tell our employees that it's okay if you want to go do something else.
Yeah.
And it's powerful when they see that, because they see you as a human. They see you as a real tangible person. And that's really what challenges the difference between grocery store coffee and Starbucks coffee, Mac and everything else out there. People are brand ambassadors because of the experience. And we saw this post earlier this week, I think in this community actually, from one of our members, where the difference is in the experience. And the experience is always in the human touch. It is always in feeling like you are relevant, taken seriously, and that your experience is meant to be for you. And I just love that. I love that perspective. Thank you, Nichole.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share. And I will just say that it's because of empathy that I believe this particular GoDaddy small community is growing. It's the recognizing that, you know what? First of all, we're in this crazy, unprecedented pandemic, but we also all have dreams. And we want to pursue our dreams, but we have to be realists. And we have to provide for our family. And how can we just get out there and support each other's small businesses? How can we learn from each other, right? And this group has been really inspiring for me as a brand new entrepreneur who comes from a world of being the expert of understanding what I'm doing to now I've got no idea what I'm doing, right? I'm just talking to everybody, right? Trying to share my heart on my sleeve. It feels really great to be uplifted and surrounded by people who care. So I think that this group, I feel that I found this group for a reason, but I hope to continue sharing this group with other people because that's the whole thing, right? We can't reach them all. We can just reach one and then they'll reach one, like a butterfly effect, right? So it can be a beautiful thing.
I think it is beautiful. And I appreciate you for sharing with us. I appreciate the community members for allowing you to share with us. And I just feel like your vision and your mission, it is going to impact more than you know. And so we're just going to put that out there into the world. It's going to impact more than you know. But on top of that, we're here for you. The community is here for you. So continue to challenge yourself, continue to rise to the occasion. And sometimes we find the greatest courage is just conversation. We can have conversation to feel like a real person, to feel like we're not just going through challenges on our own. We're not just disconnected in a corner. So thank you for sharing that with us. Rachel, did you want to offer any last minute conversation or dialogue to Nichole?
Nichole, you've got me kind of emotional. I have to share that I have family members with mental health issues and have struggled for many years. And so I can completely relate to all of what you said. You are amazing. I just wish you all the best. And, keep in mind you're a business, because that's the one thing that I think is really challenging with what you're doing, and the mission that you have and that you're on. But you're also a business, and you need to financially make sure that it works, right? Because you want to be there for everybody. So this is a really good group for you to be a part of, and to share your story. And I think so much about little kids, like you're talking about, that people don't recognize that they need help, and if they could just get the help when they're little, they would be so much more successful as they get older. And so the work you're doing is so important. Kudos to you, and can't wait to keep having you come back and hearing how it's going, and like what can we all do to help? Because I think that that's what's great about groups like this, is that everybody has specialties that they're really good at and can bring to the table to share and help out.
Thank you so much for your words of encouragement. It means a
Yeah,
lot.
I have to agree with Rachel. I also found myself getting a little emotional. My mother is a speech pathologist, and she actually works at a private school for kids who they're sent there by their districts because their districts do not have, even ones with special education programs. A lot of times these students, I think they're very similar to the children that you work with, or the people that you've worked with, in the sense that it's so much more about the emotional blocks, the social blocks, and even just finding a place where a child can succeed, right? You sit there and you look at what a school day looks like, and the regimen and the social integration, and there are so many people out there who just need a different environment. They need a different environment to succeed. And it's so interesting just thinking about how that even relates to work from home. Like I love going into an office. There's so many things I enjoy about being in office, but I get my energy by myself. So I've never felt more like energized at work simply because I have been able to kind of run on my own terms and operate in a way that I feel comfortable with. And it's so remarkable to hear from people like you who are able to. I also have to say that empathy is something that I try and practice every day. It does not always come naturally to me, but it is something that you recognize, that the real severity of just understanding, whether you're a student or you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, you have your own personhood. You have your own, you are your own person, and there are so many ways to access you that might just not be through traditional channels. So being authentic and being fully present and being able to just say, listen, I will meet you halfway. How can I help? What can I do for you? Is it's a way to succeed in any venture that you undertake. So I applaud everything that you're doing. It's literally saving lives with the work that you're doing in more ways than one. And I really do. I love it. I can't wait to see you grow. I'm thrilled you launched this right now when you did. I know it's a difficult time, but in that same vein, these people that need your services are also facing one of the more difficult times. So you're providing real utility there and real value. And it is, we love having you a part of this community. Thank you for sharing that stuff today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm very easily inspired, so.
Well, Nichole, thank you for sharing your story today. Thank you for challenging us all to just become better humans and learn through empathy and grow through education. Our commitment to community is really what's keeping us all together. So thank you for bringing your voice today. Where can people go to connect with you that's going to be the easiest to follow your journey and help, build your mission?
Great question. Thank you. Probably the best place to reach me would be to hop on my website, which is tuckeracademy.org. I have a mailing list on there. Again, it's just me. I'm small and growing. So I don't have as much on there yet as I'd like, but I am pretty active on LinkedIn. So connecting with me on LinkedIn under my name. I also am connected to my company name on there. I have a company page on LinkedIn. And I just try to get out and, send some words of inspiration once in a while, but I also enjoy giving updates of the pieces of growth that we are able to make with Tucker Academy.
Now, thank you. You're sharing your story today. It's going to align with so many of us in this community and just out in the world. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your story of growth and how you created Tucker Academy. And we are all for raising your mission and helping you build forward. So thank you, Nichole.
Thank you so much. This was great. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Have a good rest of the day, everybody.
Yeah. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Take
Bye.
care.